Today we are going to explore one type of behavior technique in this video through the lens of a particular conservation project. The project that is the focus of this video is the implementation of wildlife highways, or ecoducts, and how reinforcement can help species learn to use the ecoducts instead of continuing to cross human roads. In addition, a brief explanation of the behavior change technique of focus will be provided, as well as a few general examples outside of the overall context. Near the end of the video, we will explore the use of reinforcement within a conservation training project involving ecoducts through a model of a roadway. Our roadways today cross through the natural habitats of many native species of North America. Not only are many animals stricken each year, but humans' lives are also threatened by collisions with these animals. In 2008, a study made by the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA, estimated that 1 to 2 million collisions occur each year between cars and large wild animals in the United States. This statistic is from the United States alone. Other countries have also taken to innovating ecoducts of varying size and forms to help the native populations. On Christmas Island, overpasses have been created for the annual migration of the local crabs. For a colony of blue fairy penguins, a tunnel was created under roads, and in Japan, ducks under the train tracks are fashioned for turtles to cross safely. There are many other examples of ecoducts. It is important with any project to be flexible and consider your population, goals, and the resources at your disposal. For instance, some ecoducts are expansive projects, like forests passing over highways, while others are just tunnels that are dug under the crossings of roads. One solution to decreasing the number of animals crossing human roads is to build bridges over highways or create tunnels underneath the road. These structures are called ecoducts. Most animals take to these ecoducts quickly, learning to use them instead of crossing over the human roads. Some species might be resistant to using the ecoducts and might require the use of reinforcement to ensure they learn to use them consistently. Generally, reinforcement is a procedure that is focused on the presentation of a stimulus, some object in the environment like food given to the learner, which increases the future likelihood of that behavior occurring again. Reinforcement works best with effective reinforcers. Some good reinforcers for animals are usually those that are edible. This is dependent on the animal's diet and metabolism. Reinforcers can also be what we call negative. This means that something aversive, like a scary noise or object, is removed from the animal's surroundings once they perform a certain behavior. An example of reinforcement in a more general sense would be if we wanted a polar bear to open its mouth when presented with a hand signal, we would present the hand signal, and then if the polar bear did the behavior, we would give it a bit of meat which serves as its reinforcer. Another animal training example in the following clip involves target training for a sulcata tortoise. Specifically, the tortoise responds to the cue target and goes to the target instead of stopping to bite on the pants or shoes of the trainer. When the tortoise approaches the target, they are given a reinforcer in the form of a bite of lettuce. The hope is that in the future, they will continue to respond to the target when cued, even in the presence of shoes and laces, to eventually train other behaviors. When considering the use of reinforcement, any staff, keepers, biologists, or other parties affiliated with any facet of the project where they will be working with the animal population of concern need to ensure the behavior change technique selected is the most appropriate choice. Reinforcement is no exception, and considerations like an animal's natural history, biology, and the behavior change desired, as well as the time frame of the project, can all play a role in whether or not reinforcement is the best choice. Throughout any program for behavior change, any intermediary steps should be outlined, and consistent monitoring or data collection be collected by all staff directly involved with the target for behavior change. Prior to beginning, as well as during, data should be taken on how often the desired behavior is occurring and the progression of change. When we are looking at the Ecoducts project, reinforcement would look slightly different, but the same principle still stands. For instance, unlike with a tiger or tortoise, we want to keep our human presence kept to a minimum. This idea is called remote training. The specific term for the training techniques used in the Ecoduct project is called remote training. Remote training is when the human presence during a procedure is either absent or nearly zero. The only time human presence should be included is in instances where aversion and fear to humans is maintained. The presentation of food in any toys or enrichment cannot be seen as coming from humans. In the Ecoduct project, we want to make sure that when we present reinforcers, that it is as if they are magically appearing near the ecoduct and are not associated with humans. Whereas anything aversive, like cars on the roads the animals might encounter if they do not use the ecoducts, are the only stimuli related to a human presence. Before we demonstrate the techniques under simulated conditions, we must first consider the ethical and humane considerations when working with projects of this nature. Some considerations might include the precautions of working with protected or critically endangered species, the implications of intervening with the ecology of populations, the need for human presence to be kept at minimal or zero, government and local permissions to change the natural environment, and the impact our changes to populations and the landscape have on the animals of interest.
Showing this technique in action will involve using our example model of a roadway with ecoducts both over and underpass designs. The model includes changes to the environment like fences which funnel the animals into the overpass ecoduct and towards the underpass ecoduct. While this is effective at ensuring the animal will be unlikely to go towards the roadway, we do have to consider that the fences can't stretch too far into the animal's natural environment. The fence might obstruct the movements of animals in their natural habitat beyond the road. This is among many ethical concerns involved in this context. Another is the need for human presence to be limited to the cars on the highway. As you can see, we have humans in their cars whose movement is not controlled by the trainers or implementers of this project. The only precaution that will be taken by the implementers, which may involve interacting with the humans on the highway, is if one were to stop their car or break down near the over or underpass. In this instance, a consideration that would have to be made is to make sure their human presence isn't related to any reinforcers or cause aversion to using the ecoducts. Therefore, we will have at least one car stationed nearby. In this model, they're on the shoulder right here. These individuals will need to collect data and try to ensure environmental control if necessary, in case anything should interfere with the target population's use of ecoducts, such as someone stopping to possibly mess with an animal using an ecoduct. As you can see, there are two ecoducts here representing the common models, the underpass and the overpass. Typically, many species begin using the ecoducts almost immediately since it's a source of negative reinforcement, avoiding aversive cars and roadways. Though some species are a bit more hesitant to use them for various reasons. The animal of concern here is a mountain lion, a species which in this context is having some trouble using the ecoducts. The reinforcer in this case was selected to be protein, but can also be scat or urine from the animal's prey. This, of course, will depend on the species. While not shown clearly on the model, the way the reinforcer is provided to the animal on the ecoduct is by pipe, wherein the meat will be funneled through when the animal crosses a certain distance over the ecoduct. The same concept of the reinforcer magically appearing occurs with the underpass ecoduct as well. In this design, the meat can be dropped from the sky when, according to surveillance from game cameras and a connected tablet, food can be funneled down a pipe hanging over the side of the bridge of the underpass. This, of course, would only happen if the animal crossed a certain distance within the ecoduct. So with the model now explained, we will show what this looks like in action on the overpass. Keep in mind remote training is the practice here, so human presence needs to be kept at a minimum. Ideally, the system would be automated, using game cameras, identification and tracking software, and automated reinforcer delivery systems. Humans can also operate the pipes or funnels while hidden from view, but would have to track the movement of the animal on game cameras as they approach the overpass from either direction. So from this direction or from this direction going this way. In this model, we arrange things from a remote location, in the ranger vehicle off the shoulder of the road. Here the ranger is observing video of the ecoducts from the game cameras, taking data on the successful approximation of the mountain lion's behavior, watching for any possible disturbances, and initiating the delivery of the reinforcer. Our mountain lion approaches and appears on game cameras. It is important that video from game cameras be used to track the behavior since it doesn't require a direct human presence and can display video in a night mode since mountain lions are nocturnal. Therefore, most sessions will be occurring at night. Once our mountain lion is on the bridge, the staff will wait until the mountain lion is over halfway before providing the reinforcer on the other side. It is important to make sure the animal attends to the reinforcer. Once the reinforcer is given, the mountain lion will continue to the other side, and in the future, with repeated sessions like this, others of their species will be more likely to use the ecoduct in the future. An additional consideration is to make sure the reinforcer will not satiate the mountain lion. The natural reinforcer of using the ecoduct is to hunt on the other side of the highway at night. Providing too much food instead of just a small amount as a reinforcer could affect the mountain lion wanting to cross the ecoduct entirely. Of course, if one is working with a limited population, or a specific individual, or many members of a population, just like in this scenario, we can also work in approximations. These approximations can be thought of as little steps all leading to the same end goal. For instance, we may want to start for a week or so with all mountain lions only having to approach the ecoduct before being reinforced. Then next moving up the criteria to having 1 foot on the beginning of the ecoduct. Then crossing it by 15%. Then by 25% and so on until a mastery of 80%, where we assume the animal by that point will continue over to the other side. As with any behavior change program, since we are taking data on the mountain lion's behavior, these steps and criterion are all subject to change based on how well the lions are doing. The ultimate hope is that in the future, when the mountain lion now sees the ecoduct, they are more likely to cross the road using the ecoduct to hunt at night instead of directly crossing the highway where cars may strike them. This can be used with other populations, with considerations given to their different physiologies, environmental preference, and diet.